Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we have arrived in Banff National Park. This has literally been on my bucket list forever. I've never been out west before, and I thought, why not film a vlog while we're out here and also take the iPhone 14 Pro along with me to be able to test it in one of the most incredible places in the entire world. And literally some of the best locations in Banff are things that we've added to this trip's itinerary. And of course, right now we are filming in Chevron Lake, and it was a long drive to get up here because the first part of this video we actually shot this morning at Two Jack Lake, just getting our bearings in Banff. So we're gonna jump into this video, kick it off there before basically carrying on at Chevron and bringing you through the rest of the trip. So with that, let's jump on into it. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brock Wonder. I am a street and travel photographer from Toronto. In order to test the iPhone, we'll be shooting a variety of photos in this video, but also comparing it to the Sony A1 along with videos, but thinking self-portraits. We'll be doing landscape photography. We'll be looking at detail shots, some environmental elements, and of course some city shots around Banff, I hope, if we're lucky. It's also supposed to snow, so we'll be able to see what the phone can do in some more dramatic weather settings and what the contrast and the editing capabilities are like on that. And so the first location we'll actually be testing the iPhone in is called Two Jack Lake, just outside of Banff. And the spot that I wanted to take the phone to is at the very back of the lake. You can actually get a really nice leading line with a tree bending into the water with the mountain off into the distance. So I captured that photo first with some harsher lighting than I would have preferred at the 48 megapixel setting with the Pro RAW feature on. And when you apply the color grade to that, it comes out phenomenal. The details in the mountains even show up when you punch in. And overall, as a first photo to this trip, I'm saying it's off to a really good start with the 1X lens. We are gonna go to our next location though, off to Chevron Lake, doing a bit of a hike, being able to test all of the lenses on the camera and really seeing the comparisons between the variety of them. With that, let's head on over to Chevron Lake and see what we can do. Now at Chevron Lake, our second location of the trip, and why I wanted to come here is because there is a gorgeous lookout behind me, and it's perfect to be able to test the 3 different lenses that are available on the new iPhone. And there's a crazy lookout to my left side of it that is perfect to be able to test how much detail the phone can actually get. And so we're gonna start off with the first photo being with the 1X lens, given that that's the one that everybody's basically hyping up right now. All right, so the photo is, I'm just center framing it up with the 1X lens and just gonna grab that shot. We're gonna take the shot with the Sony A1. It does a crazy job not blowing out the highlights already. We are shooting this in RAW, so I'm gonna apply the edit as well. And then taking it with the 0.5 lens, there's still a little bit of like blown out highlights at the top of the photo, but overall still doing a great job. When you use the 2X lens, all it's actually doing is cropping in from the 1X lens. It's not an individual telephoto lens. And that one they've actually fixed pretty well from the previous versions. It's the 3X that's a bit of a problem. Once you get really into it, it starts getting pretty obvious that the photos are in fact from the phone. But honestly, even looking at these shots straight out of camera, it's pretty wild what it can do. All right, so just to further illustrate the point, we have this beautiful lookout just behind me now. And what I wanna do is just take the same lenses, the 0.5, the 1X, and the 3X in this case, given that the 2X is basically just the 1X but cropped in, and show you what it can really do from so far away and taking those intricate details in the ice and seeing if they can actually show up when we zoom in on the photo. Now, the number one complaint with the iPhone is always the case that the photos come out like overly sharp or it just comes out too digital. And that definitely still is true even with the 1X. But once you put the photos in Lightroom, what I've noticed when you're editing them is just how malleable the photos actually are. And if you reduce the clarity and figure out how to play around with the sharpness in post, you can kind of make it look a lot more natural. What I will say is though that the 3X photos themselves are generally not usable, like compared to a mirrorless camera. Like they obviously are usable, but you don't want to be saying like, oh, I can replace my 200mm on a professional mirrorless camera. You're definitely not going to be able to do that. So with that, we're going to take some photos around the area before it starts to snow, because that is in the forecast for today. We're hopefully going to have one more location in Banff tonight, but depending on the weather that might change. Otherwise, we'll see you later on or tomorrow morning. All right, so we are back from a freezing ending of the Chevron Lake hike, which was absolutely epic, by the way. I'm very excited to put those photos up on Instagram and share them with you. But now we are actually at Vermilion Lake, and to my right is where the iconic photo that you'll probably see a lot. And at that dock location is where 99% of the photos at this spot actually get taken. But there is a ton of people there. So instead, in order to test the iPhone and really get a bucket list photo on this trip with my Sony A1, we're going to take a photo of the Vermilion Lakes behind me. All right, so we are losing the light quite quickly because it is sunset after all, but I took a few photos, one with the 0.5, one at 1x, and another with the telephoto lenses. And honestly, the 0.5 and the 1x look absolutely incredible. Just looking at it on my phone, once I'm able to edit these photos, I'm going to obviously have a closer look. But the 2x and the 3x at low light, I'm probably gonna say is definitely gonna suffer. And obviously this is something that you've seen with the previous renditions of the phone. But if you are looking to just capture your time away, I think that they're still gonna do a good job of doing that. So not to shy away from using those lenses, even when there's a lot of diffused light and the sun is going down. And so on that note, before we lose the light completely, we're gonna hop on over to Banff, grab some dinner, and probably call the day at this point. So yeah, let's go on and eat. So jumping back in just quick, because literally as we were about to leave for dinner, the crowds just took off from the dock, and we have it all to ourselves right now. So we're actually gonna do 2 low light tests with the iPhone, because I'm honestly just curious. There are 0 artificial lights around me, and what we're gonna do is one video at 0.5x of me walking along this dock that you've heard me talk about, and one at 1x. We already did the test before filming this, if I'm being honest, and what I can tell you is that there is still a lot of noise in the 0.5x camera. The 1x holds up, but compositionally for this location, it doesn't really work out. So I'm gonna put those on the screen for you right now, and then we're going to dinner. Good morning. It is currently 9:30 in the morning. At Lake Louise, we made it, and things are not going according to plan today, if I'm being quite honest. First thing I'll mention though is I'm filming this on the front-facing lens of the iPhone, so you can see what that looks like, but we are experiencing right now the craziest weather conditions I think we've had pretty much all trip. Yesterday was gorgeous, good weather, not really any cloud cover, you saw the footage, and today, for whatever reason, it's like a blizzard that I've actually never really experienced in my entire life. I think it was ridiculously intense. So we wanted to come here for sunrise, but there was no sunrise to be had. We got up at like 4 a.m., got on the highway, and basically just got covered in snow and sat in a Starbucks for like an hour and a half. But here we are. I'm gonna show you what the view looks like. And yeah, we're gonna take some photos here, see what we can get. Finally made it to the lake. Personally, this front-facing camera is absolutely unreal. Look at the view behind me. This is insane. That said, I'm still gonna pull out the Sony A1 because you're not gonna come here and take a photo with an iPhone, right? You could. I mean, you could take a photo with an iPhone if that's what you're into, but I don't wanna mess this up at all. I'm absolutely blown away right now with how blue this water is. Also say if you're looking at coming here, there is definitely no shortage of people, but we are here in off season, so it's a lot more empty than usual. But one thing you want to be cognizant of is the fact that this isn't something that is like super naturey and something to do. It's more just like the sightseeing thing to see off the highway, and it happens to be absolutely epic. So we're gonna grab our photo, head on over to the next part of the trip, and if you're as impressed with this front-facing camera as I am, I think that's actually more than enough reason to pick up this phone to upgrade to it, because this just made vlogging so much easier. I've been vlogging with the A7 IV for the longest time, and honestly, I'm not afraid to use this anymore. So yeah, with that, let's keep on going. clip on the 1X lens at the top of the little beehive because we have Lake Agnes behind me, and we thought what a better way to look at the backdrop and just see all of the detail from the iPhone itself by shooting it right here. So it's absolutely incredible. And on the way up to be able to get here, we actually shot a portrait test. So we took a few different photos along the way, and I'm gonna put them up on the screen. And a few of the things that we notice is still that the portrait mode actually doesn't work as well as I think Apple says it does. You really have to play around with it before you actually get a fall off that really looks natural. And even then, I think the partition still looks a little bit digital. It had a little bit of trouble, for instance, separating me from a bunch of the trees in the background. So that's just something that I think needs a little bit more work. I think if you're gonna go for your portrait mode, I honestly would shoot it on the regular 1X still before going with portrait, because it just has that little bit unnatural look. But if you do want that depth, I think you can get by with it. So with that, that's gonna wrap up the camera test. We've pretty much covered most of the new features on this iPhone. I really think the cameras are incredible, and they should really get you by if you're looking for a new camera for any of your travels. Even now, we were watching some of the footage back and absolutely blown away with the performance of this phone. And the rest of the trip, I'm gonna film some shorts for. So if you do wanna see what that looks like, feel free to check them out. And so with that, I'm gonna end the video here and see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.